Law school at nighttime. I was a civil litigation attorney for the police department as well as being a police officer, for which I got paid no extra money. I got paid a patrolman's salary for practicing in New York State Civil Supreme and also the administrative tribunals handling the city rules and regulations and the city laws. I was injured when I was a police officer responding to a call. I was hit in my patrol car by another patrol car, and I was retired after 10.5 years. 1 month after my retirement, my 30-year-old wife was diagnosed with breast cancer, and we had a 9-month baby at home, and I took the next 1.5 years to take care of my wife and my son while she went through multiple surgeries and chemotherapy and her recovery from that. So I understand intimately what it's like to have good health insurance, but to have a medical crisis that is brought on just who knows why, and to have to deal with the fallout of that, the loss of income, paid co-pays, deductibles, and navigating a system that even with good health insurance almost ruins you economically. I get that and I understand that. When I decided to move back, even though I am still a practicing attorney, I spent my entire life out in the field working in communities as a medic. When I was working as a police officer on foot for multiple years. Both my parents are retired at the Board of Education. They both taught public school in Brooklyn. My grandmother retired after 35 years when she was teaching in Staten Island. So I decided to go and join the New York City Teaching Fellows. I got my master's in special education from Hunter College, and I teach in District 75. I teach special ed, 6th and 7th grade, in a self-contained class. It's a 611, so I have 5 nonverbal autism students, and I have 5 adults in the class helping me out there.
Michael, what are the most pressing issues of 11th Congressional District that you can see?
Sure, absolutely. The biggest pressing issue is economics. And it's not as simple as saying it's my paycheck. It's a lot of things that are associated with economics, such as paying for education, paying for health care, being able to afford to live, not just on a living wage, but a wage that allows you to afford to not just catch up, but get ahead. Because one of the things we've seen over the past 40 years is stagnant wages. We're not seeing wages rise, or we're not seeing. It's a little bit weird because the district is divided between Brooklyn and Staten Island. There are some differences when you talk about transportation. I mean, we have a subway. We complain about the R, it never shows up. But there is one, whereas in Staten Island it's a transportation desert. So when you're talking about building the economy, it's a little bit different on both. But economics, healthcare is big, education is big. I am also really incredibly big on disability rights and minority rights and women's rights. These are things that are tied together because it ties with the economics of these people and the ability for them to climb some type of ladder of opportunity that's going to help themselves.
Any questions to Michael?
I know that was really brief and short, but...
Your position on Donald Trump's moving the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem.
Okay, well, first of all, I'm a big supporter of Israel and Israel's right to exist and to defend itself. I personally don't think that it was done correctly. I think that at some point, they should have moved the embassy and recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. However, I feel that the way that it was done, with almost no warning, and with no discussion about any other associated problems that might go with it, it seemed to me to be too hasty, and it seemed to me that it was going to add more problems than it was going to solve.
So you're against the move of the embassy?
Yes.
Okay.
Wait,
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Michael. Thank you so much. We also were joined by great Judge Theresa Ciccotto of Gerstein Mohan, also running for Congress in the 11th Congressional District. I believe 6 candidates running so far. 7 candidates. 7 Democratic candidates. Only one will win, so we'll see. Okay.
Good evening, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to address the great Democrats. And my name is Radhakrishna Mohan. I go by, people call me Mohan. And I'm from India. I'm an Indian American. I've been living in Staten Island for the last 27 years. And I came from India. When I came here in 1989, I settled first 1 year in Albany. After I worked for a bank, that gave an opportunity to understand what the value of union. One of my colleagues, who just, she applied for 1 day leave and she came the second day. I mean, she didn't come for the second day. And she has been walked out. No questions asked, and she has been walked out. So when I came here, my son was born the next month. I just starting my life here with my wife and my young child. When I saw this lady, a person has been walked out without any representation, without any rights, I thought that is not right. So I was looking for an opportunity to move away from the banking field. Then I got the opportunity, I wrote the exam for the New York State Civil Service. I passed it, and then I entered the New York State Civil Service after 1 year. And ever since then, I started moving up my cadre. And then, meanwhile, while I was in the union, I joined the union. And I also understand what the union can provide, the union benefits. I did that, though my basic qualification was, I did the master's in economics when I came from India. I thought I used the union benefit that gave me. I did my computer science degree, and I entered the IT field. Ever since 1994, I've joined my IT in the New York State Service. Now I'm an IT specialist. Why I'm talking about the union? When I came from India, my background in India, I started as a young person, I started a government job. When we started the government job, we lost a contract. So a bunch of us youngsters got together, we see why we lost the contract. Then we went and visited our union office. It is upside down. The union office is not supposed to be, it's not functioning properly. And what we decided to let us take over the union. And a bunch of us got together, 10 of us, we put our own money. We contested the election, we won the election, we took over, we held it for 30 years. We are called the team. So that is the background I came from. When we see something, say something, or do something about it. That's what I am. And then when I started in the union back here, I started as a shop steward, and then I became a council leader, president for 2,000 members for 8 years. My division is statewide, New York State. And what I did as I can look back and probably I introduced the telecommuting. I'm fighting for women to get 4 hours more for cancer screening. The male employees in the New York State get 8 hours for medical tests and screening. But the women employees, the female employees, they get 24 hours. So I thought something is wrong. So I put in a resolution in our convention. That is highest body where we can make the decisions. I put in a resolution at the convention. I worked along with the Women Caucus, and we ratified at the convention. Then we put it towards our legislator. Now it is the New York State legislature. I think Senate has passed it. Now it is with the state legislators. They have to approve it. It will take another 1 or 2 years. But at the end of 1 or 2 years, we see that women also get the benefit of 4 years. But out in Staten Island, what I did, I'm a big quality of life issue. I wanted to address the quality of life issues. I'm very much a favor of quality of life in our neighborhoods. So in my neighborhood, there was some vandalism was going on. Kids are coming, making a lot of, people are not able to, some people wanted to move away from our neighborhood. So we started addressing that. And then 2 years or 3 years we addressed it, we got it under control. And then I ended up in the Police Precinct Council. I became part of that. For more than 12 years, I became part of the Police Council.
What neighborhood?
122 Precinct. That is in the Mid-Island. And then after 121 started, 121 new precinct started 4 years back. They wanted me to join them also. Though I ended up in 2 Police Precinct Council. What I did there, when I looked around, they don't have any funds to do the programs. We do the National Night Out. We do the holiday treat for the officers. We have children's program. We do all that, but we don't have money. So what I thought, I applied for this. I saw that New York City Council, they give discretionary funding. I applied for that. I got $3,500 for 122. I got $5,500 for 121 every year. And I did the whole thing by myself. Normally people go to the conduit office, but I didn't find a conduit office. So I ended up doing myself. I applied, get the money.
Paperwork, all paperwork.
Right, all that. So this is what I did. And I'm also a block watcher for my neighborhood. Why I'm doing this? Because I want to take care of the community. Giving back to the community is my forte. Service is my forte. And then I'm also a community board member. I fought for the Alex House when they didn't have the parking facility. And I'm also vice president for 2 Staten Island Democratic clubs. The South Shore Democratic Club and the SADA.
Question. One of the big issues right now all over the United States, and of course in New York as well, is the unbelievable cost of drugs, and it's growing very fast. What can we do if you are elected to Congress to at least, to slow the process? We cannot make the prices lower, but at least to slow the process of raising prices for all possible drugs.
So that's a very good question. That is the biggest problem we all face. The medical, the drug prices are really skyrocketing here in the U.S. I'll tell you for an example. In India, we have Valsartan, that's the tablet we take for, that is about 2 rupees. It's about 10 cents. Here, if you want to buy it on your own, it costs you so much. Astronomical. The drug prices are astronomical. People are, I'm a labor union guy, this is what we do. That's why I want to be in the Capitol Hill. We always watch what the special interest groups are doing. I'm in touch with I go for all the conventions, I'm in touch with all the AFL-CIO, ACIU, the big leaders. These are the 2 big unions. I always go and get in touch with them. We can lobby. That's the biggest advantage I have is my union contacts for more than 2 decades. I can get anything, make it as a national issue right off the bat. I can get the connections. If anybody, any special interest doing anything to increase any drug price, we'll keep fire under their feet. That's what we do.
I wanted to comment on it. So first of all, right now, the new health secretary of the United States is a guy who was a CEO of a large pharmaceutical company, and during his 5 years tenure from 2012 to 2017, his company produced mainly insulin, and the price of insulin for these 5 years of his tenure grew by about 250%. The explanation is, it's industry-wide, it's not just his company, it's all over the places, he needs to compete, so he raised the prices of insulin. Right now he's in charge of regulating pharmaceutical industry and to making sure that our prices are okay, but I don't think the person who okayed increasing prices of insulin more than 200% will be able to solve this problem, or even wants to solve these problems, though he's talking about rebates and discounts for seniors. So first he increased prices 2.5 times, and then he gave some rebates, $20 rebates for people, that's a joke. Exactly. So, but one issue that Congress can do and still did not do, since 2011, is still Medicare and Medicaid, Center for Medicaid and Medicare Services. Until today, for the last 7 years, is prohibited, banned from negotiating prices with pharmaceutical companies. How can it be? But it's starting 2011, after Republicans took over, and they decided, let's prohibit any kind of wholesale negotiations, and as a result, everybody can do whatever they want. So, but yes, I'm totally for free market, but on certain things, especially price of drugs, it should be negotiations, because I believe more than 50 million people in America have Medicare, and I don't know how many millions have Medicaid. So this structure, Center for Medicaid and Medicare Services, is very powerful. And if they do negotiate, it will be different prices. Am I right?
I understand. That's the one thing. That's one of the way of looking at it.
Am I?
No, you're right. I want to address.
He's a pharmaceutical guy. He knows everything.
I want to address an issue, and it is so ironical. I'll take an example of CVS. They are in retail pharmacy, but they're also the largest insurance company. And they do not allow neighborhood pharmacies, independent pharmacies, to be compensated for anything. Today, there's negative reimbursement. Anything that the independent pharmacist in the neighborhood can get some decent money on it, they put a clause of prior authorization. And I have had a couple of incidents where the patient does not want to go to CVS, wants to stay with us, but I cannot get a prior authorization. And in this meantime, while I'm trying to get prior authorization, they ship it to the patient.
So you're saying that
it's manipulated. The lobby, what happened is the insurance company gets massive amount of rebates from the manufacturer. And the insurance company dictates what the prices should be. So you need to bring the whole system upside down. What is happening is the most tragic thing is most neighborhood pharmacies are disappearing. And you go to CVS or Walgreens or anything, you want a number over there. And once you lose your neighborhood pharmacy, then you will realize what you're missing. right now people do not realize. And that's the tragedy of this whole thing.
I agree with you.
CVS and, you know, major,
Right,
and United Healthcare is the worst. I mean, CVS is also, but they're all in the same, you know.
Very interesting information.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
So I just want to add 2 more points here. No, one of the things, that's one way of looking at it. We need to negotiate with the other insurance companies to get the pharmaceutical company to reduce the price. The other one is the patent laws. The patent laws is so much tightened, and whoever gets any medicine, right, you cannot break. They hold the monopoly on that. So we need to look at another look at the patent laws, and also the best way to do is to increase the competition. That is the best thing to do. The immediate, of course, we can get the results in reducing the drug prices lower, increase the competition. This is a free economy, and I don't know why we are not allowing other companies to come and compete. That's the silver bullet for that problem, plus the patent laws, plus have the negotiation.
I would say vote of trust from his Jewish colleagues, because he became chairman of Jewish caucus, and it's not like someone appointed him or president appointed him. His colleagues voted, Jewish colleagues voted for him to become a chairman of Jewish caucus of New York City Council, and also he was appointed by new council speaker Corey Johnson. He is now chairman of Veterans Committee, which is very important in New York City and in 45th Assembly District. He's also member of several other important committees, like Land Use Committee and some others. And what I noticed in the last, even before I noticed, but like now it's even more, leaders of this city, both mayor and council speaker, when they make decisions, they take advice of Councilman Chaim Deutsch very seriously, and they know he doesn't take no for an answer. All commissioners, you know, like, no Councilman Chaim Deutsch, like if he's calling from the office, and his office is one of the most effective in New York City. In fact, I recently called Congressman Hakeem Jeffries' office and said, oh, you're good. And I said, no, everybody knows. Councilman Chaim Deutsch office is the best in New York City. We're trying to be second, you know, like. So it's not just like me saying this, but some other offices, including congressional offices, know this fact. Long story short, Councilman Chaim Deutsch.
Thank you, thank you. I'm not sure what to say, just for my speech. Anyway, it did take 4 years for the city council to realize that I'm Jewish. So they finally voted me in to be the chair of the Jewish caucus.
You should wear a red gown.
Yeah, no, the problem is my height. You don't see my yarmulke. Anyway, there's a lot of work that we do in the city council, a lot of work still that needs to be done. And like Ari mentioned, we have a new speaker, so that how it works is that the majority of the members who elects a person running for the speaker, the office of the speaker, he or she becomes the next speaker. So Councilman Corey Johnson, who represents Hell's Kitchen, Times Square, doesn't sound right, Hell's Kitchen, Times Square, and that area, Madison Square Garden, that whole Manhattan area, so he became the speaker of the city council. Yes, so I'm the chair of the Veterans Committee. I'm very excited about it. I have a lot of veterans in my district, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done with veterans. And like, I'll give you an example. One of the things that I sent a letter today to DOE, and I met with the Department of Education today, that when a student, when a parent applies for their son or daughter to attend school, there's nothing in there that states if that child is a child of a veteran. Because there's so many services that a child of a veteran can receive, and there's the scholarships for their education, for college, and people don't know. And even the social workers within the public school, they have no idea. So the first thing we need to do is identify how many children, because there's no statistics right now, we need to identify how many children are in public schools, are in schools that are children of veterans, right? So we need to do that. So I sent a letter, and I asked my colleague, Councilman Mark Traeger, who became chair of the Education Committee, to sign on to my letter, which will be sent today to the Deputy Chancellor, and hopefully we'll see positive results from it. It's a no-brainer. And this way we could, once we identify how many children are children of veterans, then we could tell them what the services are available to them by having the people in the schools, the social workers, explain to them exactly what services are available. There's also a new online website that's going to be coming out. It's going to be called Vet Connect, and that's going to have every service available for veterans in our city. So that's going to be And in addition to that, veterans receive real estate property exemptions, but people that rent apartments, they don't receive. So we have currently, we have SCREE, DRE, SHE, D, we have all types of Ds, SHEs, and everything, but I put in the bill to have 3 veterans rent increase exemption to that, and the threshold should be the same, the income threshold at $50,000, and to freeze the rent for veterans who rent apartments. So that's a bill I put in the City Council a few weeks ago, and I'm looking forward to positive results for that.
And I know you have a very interesting definition of veterans. You mentioned several times at several events about veterans of Cold
So you
War.
have veterans that were in combat, and then you have veterans that are under the status of Cold War veterans. So the people who are under the status of Cold War veterans who weren't actually in combat, they don't receive the same tax exemption, real estate, as the people that were in combat. So I have a bill in the council that will expand it to anyone under the status of Cold War veterans.
So you're talking about
this will help thousands of
US Army,
veterans.
the people who served in the American Army during the Cold War with the Soviet Union.
Exactly,
That's what you're talking about?
exactly. So this, I'm looking to expand this.
That's called
to other
veterans, Cold War veterans.
So in addition to that, in addition to the Veterans Committee, I'm also on the Transportation Committee, the Education Committee, Aging Committee, Public Safety Committee, Land Use Committee, Concessions and Dispositions, and what else am I missing? I'm new at this, huh? Oh, Aging and Education. So I have all the great committees that help our district and help people in the city of New York, and I'm very proud, and many of these committees have very long hearings, so I will still try to get back to you in a timely manner if you reach out to me. But they are very, like the land use committees could last for hours at a time. So it's very exciting, and we already started doing a lot of work. In addition to that, my first hearing in the Veterans Committee will be at a veterans homeless shelter. We're going to be going out to the homeless shelter, and that's our request. They tell me, oh, we can't do that because we can't publicize an address. So I went on Google. I found it.
Of course.
So I called them back, I said, you have it on Google. So finally they agreed, after discouraging me from going to having the hearing at the veterans homeless shelter. That's what I'll be having, and that's going to be in the beginning of April. You know, it's nice when you sit at the hearings in the City Council and visualizing what a homeless shelter might look like, but I want the members of the committee, the members of the public who come to these hearings and the stakeholders to know what goes on at a shelter. My goal over the next year is to take all these homeless people that are in shelters and put them into regular livable apartments. I know the mayor has 60,000 homeless people. I have a lot less, and I will be a model to the mayor. And I just hung up a few minutes ago with the commissioner of HRA, Steve Banks. I had about a half-hour conversation, otherwise I would have been here sooner, about certain things that I'm doing regarding to reduce homelessness. And one of the things I just mentioned to him, I had a conversation with him now on the phone, is that a lot of landlords have buildings throughout the city. There may be drug infested, there may be people loitering, you know, there's a number of different issues. Try getting a hold of narcotics to sit in your building. Almost impossible. So we will go out and form a special task force within the New York City Police Department to tackle those issues in those buildings. In return, you're going to give me apartments for veterans who are homeless. You do that, we're going to send in our task force and take care of those problems. In order to do that, we'll form a certain task force. So we're going to do a model, we're going to do a pilot project. We're going to take 2 or 3 buildings, see how it works. But my goal over the next year or 2 is to have all the veteran homeless people living in shelters, take them out of shelters and put them into apartments. Then we could free up those shelters for other homeless categories of people, of the 60,000 people.
And I know that in the last 4 years, City Council also created Office of Veterans Affairs.
Yes, we have an Office of Veterans
good.
Affairs. We have a commissioner who runs the Office of Veterans Affairs, and I already had over the last 4 weeks several meetings with the commissioner. I went out to reach out to veterans in all 5 boroughs, so it's been very exciting. A lot of work still needs to be done. On another note, I'm proud to say that a few weeks ago I was able to dismiss parking tickets that people received throughout all 5 boroughs of the city. Very simple. From beginning January 1st up until January 15th, there was 12 days that the administration, sanitation, suspended street cleaning regulations, which meant that if you see street cleaning, let's say from 9:30 to 11, right? Let's say Monday, Thursday, whatever the days you have. So for 12 days from the 1st to the 15th, it was suspended. It means 12 days the city suspended it, which meant you were allowed to park in those areas they have street cleaning. In commercial areas, the same thing. But the administration tells you that you have to pay for the meters. You have to pay for the muni meters. But if you take a look throughout the city in commercial areas, let's say you have street cleaning in commercial areas where there are muni meters. Let's say there's no parking from 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. During that hour and a half, you ever try using an app or a credit card or putting in a quarter? It will not accept it because these muni meters are pre-programmed. So during these suspensions, and the city says you have to pay for meters, I decided to walk out and to go visit some of these meters that are not operating during this hour and a half to see if people are receiving summonses, right? Because you cannot get a ticket, you cannot get a receipt for your car. So the first 10 minutes, I see this lady getting a ticket from a traffic agent, $35. So I walked over to her, I identified myself, she's from Sunset Park. I said, don't worry, we're going to fight that ticket. So I reached out to Traffic Department, I reached out to the Department of Finance, I reached out to Department of Transportation, and when I explained to them what's going on, they said, oh, we really never thought of that. So I received a letter from the Department of Transportation that anyone throughout the city, from January 1st to January 15th, that received a summons, such a summons, will get dismissed. You will get a letter from DOT that it's their fault, their problem, and the Department of Finance said we will have that dismissed. But not just now. So now we need to do what's going to happen in the future, because these meters are pre-programmed. In order to change it when street cleaning regulations are suspended, they physically have to go to each meter and change it, which they're not going to do. So now they'll be going to roll call in all traffic agents, and over here in Brooklyn South, it's Ralph Avenue. They're going to speak to every traffic agent and explain it and telling them that you cannot issue a summons in these areas in all 5 boroughs. So anyone in the future, hopefully it's not going to happen because we're going to be monitoring it, but if it should happen, those tickets shouldn't be issued and they will be dismissed automatically. So you shouldn't be getting those summonses. On another note, a lot of things happening in my office. We still have free legal 4 days a week. We have entitlement 2 days a week. So if anyone feels that they're entitled to city services that they may not know, or if you're unsure, call up my office, set an appointment, and you'll come inside and we'll let you know, with my casework, we'll let you know what city services you may be entitled to, whether it's SNAP or any other city services that are available to you. In addition to that, as you know, we had a tragic fire in our district, and we still have a father and one child still in the hospital. The second child was released last week, and the mother and 3 kids perished in the fire. So if you remember back in 2000, just about 2 years ago, in 2015 March, there was a tragic fire in our district on Bedford Avenue between L and M.
I remember that.
Where 7 young brothers and sisters tragically died in the fire. So I had an initiative in the city council which was called Get Along NYC. So my initiative was a $1 million initiative, and in addition to my $1 million that I was able to allocate for smoke alarms, carbon monoxide detectors, I was able to get from the manufacturer of Kidda, is the manufacturer of the smoke alarms. They gave an additional $3 million, so we were able to have $4 million to give out free smoke alarms to people, to residents. We give out tens of thousands of smoke alarms. So we need to continue this education by having 5 safety prevention forums. So I had 4 last month. So those who have the Deutsch report, those who received the Deutsch report, I had them throughout my district. This coming month, we're going to have another 4 events. And in fact, one is going to be by you, at your center, the After Center.
When?
Let me see. That's going to be February 19th. That's going to be the Apner Center.
February 19th.
February 15th. For those that receive a Deutsch report, you will get notifications. For those that don't receive my report, you could send me an email with your email address. Just state that you want to sign up for the Deutsch report. You will get all this information prior to these events. I have an event February 15th at Trump Village in Coney Island, February 19th in Brighton Beach with the Apner Center, February 21st at PS 193. Very important to attend. Not only will you be getting fire safety prevention tips, but you could also sign up with Red Cross, and once you sign up, they will come out to your house or apartment. They will go through all your rooms. They will install smoke detectors. You won't have to do a stitch of work. They will install it. It's all volunteers. They will install it throughout your house, whatever amount of smoke detectors you need.
Very effective.
So we already just did, I think, about 600-700 homes. We just, it's all complete already. So we want to continue this, and small lives save lives are very important. Also, from now till April 15th, for my birthday, every single Sunday we're doing tax preparations. So if anyone's available, we're going to be doing it every single Sunday. It's going to be, what time, Tova?
12 to 6.
From 12 to 6, 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. every Sunday. You call my office, you make an appointment, you come inside with your paperwork, and we have professionals who will do your taxes for you free of charge.
Councilman
no
Mark
charge.
also was born on April 15th. Both of them decided.
Also, knows that your real estate property taxes that went up, right? How many here found the bills and found higher taxes besides the Judge Mostofsky? I'm sure you have more here. You got in the back over there. So I'm going to be having the Department of Finance. We're going to have a forum with the Department of Finance February 20th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Shorefront Y. So I encourage anyone, if you want to try to understand why you're being charged or you want to try to appeal it, okay, very important you come to this forum. I'm also working on getting the Department of Finance in my office from now till March 20th, at least once a week. So I'm trying to get them to come to my office.
And it's still under the old law, nothing new tax reform. It's still under the old rules.
Yeah, it's under whatever the assessment.
For the last
anyway, I have a lot more to say, but I'm going to keep it short. Any questions? No?
You did something right.
Question, last year, I believe you were councilman at the time, they had an issue about the plastic bags and the environment.
Yeah.
That was overruled by the state legislature, went to state, they just issued a report. Can you tell us what will be happening in the, as far as the environment and plastic bags? I mean, I'm not specifically limiting it to, one second, I'm not saying it has to be a tax, because I know there's a lot of opposition to the quote-unquote bag tax, but let's face it, there's a lot of these bags and they're ending up in trees, in the ocean. What's your suggestion on that?
I don't really see that many bags in the trees. I see more balloons in the trees than bags.
I see a lot of bags.
So I am totally opposed to this tax, this bag tax.
Right.
And I know for myself that I have a closet and I recycle these bags. I stuff them in a closet, I use them, I take them to cleaners, and I see them using it over. So a lot of these bags are being used over. This flimsy CVS bag might end up in the tree. But when you have these good bags, they don't end up in the tree. And another thing is when you go shopping, especially if you have a large family and you order the stuff in boxes, they say order in the boxes. So now you're ordering in the boxes, right? Now you have a van, because you have to need it delivered. The van, the pollution, right? Double parking, the horn honking. If you're not home, they're not waiting for you. They're going to come back later. The traffic, the congestion. There's a lot more problems with the environment if they have this bag tax and people stop using taxes. But I encourage people all the time, if you can, use reusable bags. So if you're shopping a few items, you go into the store, you have a place, room in your pocket to carry a couple of reusable bags, go ahead, do it, right? We could try to get you some reusable bags for free from the city. But I encourage people to do that. But if you can't, you cannot start charging a tax on that. And by the way, I'm going to be following around sanitation next week because they have these organics, right? And I was told these organics really don't go, that's not separate, they go with the regular trash. So I'm going to be following one of the sanitation trucks to see how it gets dumped. Because if it's a scam, it's a sham, we shouldn't be having to put out organics when it gets dumped with other trash. So that's another issue. But there's a lot of things that are good for the environment. Matter of fact, my my scorecard was 100%, right? And with me being opposed to the back tax. My environmental scoreboard is 100%, okay, on everything. So I want to protect the environment. I encourage people to protect the environment. What I will oppose, and I think I was the only council member, whether people like it or not, that testified at the Senate hearing against the back tax. The only council member that testified against the back tax at the Senate hearing. And I will continue to do so if I have to. So I apologize for that, but definitely use reusable bags, yes.
I just wanted to compliment you. I'm so glad I live in your district, because, at least for the last year, because the assessed value on my house went up by just a drop under 66% in 1 year. So, I don't know who presses buttons in the city of New York.
So, yeah.
We're talking about assessed value. I'm not talking about they said that I could have sold my house for X number of dollars last year, and it's went up by 60, just a drop under 66%.
So it's capped at about 6%.
No, you're talking about tax, I understand.
Yeah.
And the tax, they already maxed out on my house. I'm talking about the assessed value. Once this 5 years is gone, then they can go up to the assessed value that they're saying it is. So I offered to the city, I will sell them, I will move in 24 hours. If they pay me the assessed value, they will leave the houses for this year.
That's funny, I would do the same thing. I would do the same thing.
Please,
Yeah.
can you speak to the right people?
So, yes, so regarding the taxes, it's a very difficult, it's not a simple solution. It has to do a lot with the state, and yes, it has to do with the city. So I tried to find a way to blame it on the state, but the city does the assessment, so I couldn't do that. But it's a whole combination. It's like a ripple effect. It's not a simple solution. I spoke to the speaker of the city council. We brought it up to the mayor last week. So they're trying to figure out what's the best way to do it, what we can do. Because when you do one thing, it affects something else. And you're right, in certain areas like Manhattan Beach, it's a waterfront district, flood zone A, people don't want to buy homes there, right? So, and the assessment went up. It went up, who knows how much. But again, it gets capped at 6%. We also need to find out, because many of us don't understand how it works. So at the forum, they're going to be explaining how it works. Why did it get to your assessment, and also why the charge is so high, whatever the amount is. So they're going to be explaining that, and if you want to appeal it, you could definitely try to appeal it. I don't know how successful you will be, but I want them to be there, because it's very difficult for people to fight to appeal their real estate taxes on their own, because it's a big headache. People usually just say, I'm going to pay it, and that's it. So I just want to mention one more thing, what Ari said. Like when you call my office, my phone gets answered by? Second ring, very good. You'll never find 3 rings, okay? So you will continue having that service. We always make it very easy for people to get a hold of my office. And I always like, when things come to my attention to my office, I like to get everything resolved, unless it's impossible. Today, I received a phone call that a school rented out for production for their school. They rented out a public school, the auditorium. The public school said, after they made tickets up and advertisements, said, I'm sorry, we can't give it to you. The borough president's office called, I'm sorry, we can't give it, because they left a mess at one school. Then the councilman in the district called up. They couldn't do it. They said, I'm sorry. I called up. They said, I'm sorry, we cannot do it. So what did I do? I went up to the Tweet building. You ever go to the Tweet building? You walk up about 100 and something stairs.
Yes.
In the pouring rain. And I went up there, I walked into the deputy chancellor's office. I sat down with them, and I explained to them how important this is for the children of the school. Yes, we don't want anyone to leave the school in worse condition than they came in. So I told the school, you need to have a plan, right? Like my wife, when my 2 grandkids come to my house, the place is a mess. They terrorize the place. So my wife went away for 1 week, so I wanted to prove to her that I will have a plan. I will keep the house clean. And I kept on sending her every 10 minutes pictures while my grandkids were here, because I made a plan. I said, okay, I'm going to tell them, you can't make a mess, go play over here. I had a plan, and the place was spotless. Right, Sullivan? The place was spotless. So I had the school. Wow. Yeah, thanks for cleaning right. So I had the school, they said the school is a bad actor. I had them put a plan on paper of what changes they will make in order to have better supervision, how they're going to keep it clean, what's going to happen. And I delivered this to DOE today. So I'm waiting for an answer. I told the deputy chancellor she could call me tonight till 2 o'clock in the morning, or tomorrow beginning at 6 o'clock. So I'm hoping to get a positive answer. But this is when you get an answer, it's very easy for an agency to tell you, I'm not doing it, I can't do it. But that's why you need to push. You keep on needing, you have to push, you have to be persistent, you have to show them that you will work together with them, and I'm confident at the next meeting I'll be able to tell you, yes, they were able to get the auditorium. So, anyway, thank you. It was very difficult to speak here with all the judges. I really feel I was just judged.
Before we